Again, our next guest is one of those trying to keep the government open.
The House Republicans got it done. Let's welcome in Texas Congressman Roger Williams. He's chair of the House Small Business Committee, chair of the House Financial Services Committee as well. Sir, welcome and thanks for coming on. What's going on in the Senate with Democrats who keep voting no?
Well, they're playing politics. I mean, they put their political career ahead of America's future. It's a bad decision, but that's what they're doing. I mean, as you mentioned previously under the Biden administration, this is the same thing that they all voted for. So it's all about politics. It's about Schumer. I mean, Schumer is literally taking what he thinks is to protect his future and challenge the future of our country. And the soldiers we talk about not getting paid, I mean, it's unbelievable. And, I think Speaker Johnson's right on line when he starts naming these senators that represent these states that have the majority of soldiers and military bases in them. It's pretty telling.
And they continue to take the vote there in the Senate, and it does not move. I believe 49-45 was the last count before Wednesday's vote. Again, still staying firm on their positions, heels dug in. And it's over the Affordable Care Act subsidies that they want, that Democrats want. They're not getting. They want the extension of Obamacare subsidies, the tax credit. They want to add it in. Republicans just want a CR. A clean CR moving forward. Again, you see the Senate Minority Leader here speaking live on Capitol Hill, being critical about health care, wanting the subsidies of the Affordable Care Act to extend, to continue. Republicans have said, look, we can have that conversation outside, but we've got to keep the government going. Pass the clean CR for keep the government open for another 7 weeks. Can you talk to us about this desire from the left, from Democrats in the Senate specifically, putting forth, first and foremost, this priority of the Affordable Care Act subsidies?
Well, first of all, and you said the time to talk about that was when we were talking about when we were negotiating the CR. And plus we passed a big, beautiful bill. They could have, I guess, talked about it then. But the fact of the matter is we vote to keep the government open. And then we have this dialogue. I mean, you reported it. They want to give illegals health care. I mean, that's money that could be going to the soldiers, quite frankly. And it goes on and on and on. And the negotiations is not time to do it. And we're not going to negotiate. I mean, I'm for sure, Zach, not going to vote for Obamacare. I'm not going to vote for an extension like they talk about. So I think we're at a logjam, but we are in the right position on this. I think people understand that. But all that being said, we can talk about who's right and who's wrong. We got to get back with this military personnel getting paid. We're asking them to do everything, and they need to be paid. And, we got air traffic controllers that need to be paid. And everybody says, well, they'll get that when we open up again. But many people live paycheck to paycheck. And I can tell you, being chairman of the Small Business Committee and having oversight of the SBA, there's a lot of businesses on Main Street right now that are waiting for the SBA to open up so they can get a loan, stay in business, get in business, meet their payroll. It's affecting Main Street drastically.
Of course. Absolutely. And you mentioned the air traffic control, too. You want people to get to their destination safely. You want to make sure airports have as many staff members as possible. You don't want people calling out sick just because they worry about whether or not they could afford daycare for the day when they're supposed to be at work, not receiving a paycheck. Congressman, while we've got you, again, we'll wait and see how the Senate votes today. I wanted to ask you about what happened yesterday at the White House. A really tremendous honor was bestowed on the late Charlie Kirk, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Of course, Newsmax brought our viewers that coverage live here on the network, and many other major news outlets did, with the exception of one. Perhaps to little surprise here, MSNBC was not interested in carrying the event at the White House, instead dedicating their time to focusing on news of the day. What do you think of that decision, but more broadly, the decision of President Trump to award Charlie Kirk this honor?
Well, I don't deal in negatives, and that's MSNBC. No, they're not a factor, so we'll move on to what President Trump did in the White House for Charlie. But I thought it was perfect. I thought he's certainly deserving. This is a young man who had been 32 years old yesterday that affected generations. He was generational. When he talked about love of country, he talked about freedom, talked about liberty, talked about touching college campuses. I mean, that's one of the areas that we can lose our country very, very quick if we lose college campuses, and many of the colleges have gone hard left, and putting his Turning Point groups on these campuses was a huge deal. And I thought the award that he got yesterday, accepted by Eureka, was unbelievable. And all generations watched, from my daughters to granddaughters to myself, we were proud of what Charlie did and proud of what will continue to do in his legacy as she leads the charge to get people to understand how important and the greatness of America.
All right, that is Congressman Roger Williams joining us with this segment. We do appreciate that, Congressman. Thank you, and good to see you.
Thank
You
you.
bet.